Time for another question makeover. Stay tuned to see if I can do this without tripping up my treadmill. This one honestly makes me sad. It's from a local nonprofit in Chicago, and they sent it out because they want feedback for their strategic plan. Now, what this tells me is that this is an important survey. They're using it to inform their strategic plan, to inform where they invest resources, how they help the people of Chicago. So really disappointing to see poorly written survey questions on this survey. So they had a bunch of questions, and they broke down different activities that they participate in, and it asked people to rate how effective or ineffective they feel these activities are. So for the first one, it's peer group / tutoring, choir, book club, short stories, knitting, yoga, etc. Now, while I understand an organization like this could offer tons and tons and tons of different activities, it's also not a great idea to group them all together like this, because for instance, you might think that choir is really great and that the knitting is not really great, and you're asking about them at the same time. If you watch my other videos, you know this is like a double-barreled question. This is like way beyond double-barrel, because double-barrel you're asking about 2 things at once, and this is asking about like 5+ things at once. But this is bad, right? You would want to get feedback on these things separately if you really care about the effectiveness of each activity. When you're reporting, if you wanted to roll everything up into the category peer groups tutoring, you could do that, but you really want the feedback on each one of these activities. So that's the first thing that I immediately noticed. Let's take a look at these answer categories, these possible choices. You could rate these as very effective, somewhat effective, neither effective nor ineffective, somewhat ineffective, very ineffective, do not know, or not applicable. Not knowing is not the same as not applicable. I would not include these 2 categories together for sure. If you want to know both, you would need to separate them out. And in a lot of cases like this, I would just put a screener up front to be like, which of the following activities of ours have you heard of or have you participated in? Then I only answer questions for the ones that I know about, right? That eliminates the need for someone to say not applicable, because you've already asked me if I know about it in a previous question. You can leave I don't know. I think I don't know is a good option to give people. But the rest of this, like in my opinion, these are way too many choices for what's a pretty straightforward question. I think the first 2 are okay. Something's very effective, something's somewhat effective. Great. Then what's the other option? It's not effective. That's 3 choices right there. Something's very effective, something's somewhat effective, something's not effective. Maybe you want to add in something's a little effective, right? But you really only need those 3 to 4 choices to capture all the possibilities here. Why? Because if something isn't effective, it's ineffective. For most people's purposes, knowing that something's not effective is going to be enough. You don't necessarily need the nuance of knowing if it's super not effective or just a little not effective, ineffective. Something being neither effective nor ineffective makes absolutely no sense at all. Something is either effective or it's not. Sadly, I don't think the responses from this question or the other ones on the survey that are similar to this are getting this organization good data at all. The data they're getting from this is not as useful or accurate as it could be. And if you're planning how you can help the city of Chicago, please collect good, accurate data. Here's my quick walking on the treadmill at 7 p.m. at night suggestion. First, which of the following peer group activities have you heard of? Or maybe you want to say participate in. This would be their decision, right? Then you list them. Choir, book club, short stories, whatever. Then you have a follow-up question only for the choices they just selected. And I didn't write it out because it's probably something like, how effective do you find choir? Which I don't love, because like effective at what, right? Like I think we'd probably, like if this was me, I would work with the organization. We would come up with a more clear question here to like define what we're rating, like evaluating effectiveness with regard to. But then you would just have very simple choices. Very effective, somewhat effective, not effective, I don't know. Perhaps instead of I don't know, you want to say I don't have an opinion. This structure of a question will get you good data. It will get you data that you can make decisions based on. It breaks my heart that an organization is going to use bad data to make decisions about their super important work moving forward. I know that some nonprofits have tight budgets and it can be a pain in the butt to need to bring in an expert for everything. And yet, like, if you are designing a survey and you're not an expert in survey design, get an expert to put their eyes on it, because it's just such a waste of your resources to put out a bad survey, and then worse than that, you're making decisions based on bad data.